As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
Arizona, I mean, you talk about a big time win going into Utah, who we all know super solid football team, always disciplined, always tough, play good defense. Now they're missing their quarterback, but they had the blackout going. That play sounded super, super loud. Arizona, Fafita goes in there and has an incredible football game and just jumped out to a lead with some explosive plays, and Utah couldn't reel them in. They tried too late, but Arizona answered when Utah made it a one-score game. That was an impressive win on the road.
Couple of big turnovers in this game for Utah, but really, I thought Arizona just looked like the better football team for pretty much the entire game. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought they consistently won the line of scrimmage on both sides.
Yeah.
And typically, football can be pretty simple. I mean, I thought that Arizona was better running the football, and I thought that they were better stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they completely shut down Utah's rushing attack. I think Utah had less than 100 yards. Here it is, 84 yards rushing. You can't go blackout and only have 84 yards rushing. You can't do that if you're Utah.
Now with the backup quarterback, you got to be able to run the football. You got a backup quarterback in there, and Wilson turned it over a couple of times. And again, it's no secret. You turn the football over, it's going to be difficult to win.
6.5 a rush for the Arizona Wildcats on the road in that environment. That'll do.
Man, some of the throws Fafita makes are awesome. That short one he made in the corner of the end zone was awesome. Some of the deep balls he throws, just incredible. Yeah, I see that picture of him getting rolled. That's on a deep ball throw. It looks like he broke his ankle, it dislocated his knee, like everything. Completes it, hobbles downfield, goes in, punches one in the end zone a couple plays later. That dude is a baller.
He's awesome. And Utah, they kept McMillan in check for the most part.
Yeah.
It was it was weird. It was kind of just watching. It was like watching Utah die a slow death.
Yeah.
And to Arizona's credit, capitalize on the turnovers. Won the line of scrimmage. That is a great formula to go and beating a good football team on the road. What is wrong with Cam Rising? How bad can the hand cut be?
They said he's got no velocity when he throws it, but heck if I know. I no clue. Let me ask you this. Is Fafita an NFL guy?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
I think that I think he can play a long time. Now, is he a high level starter? No. Do I think he can play 10 years as a spot starter and a backup? Yes. Dude,
Okay.
that guy, I know he's small and he's tiny. We saw him in person
Hmm.
at the Alamo Bowl, but that dude can rip it.
He can. Playmaker.
And he's got athleticism. He can run around. He can extend plays. He did a lot of that in this game. There's a lot to like. He's going to have one giant knock on him. Maybe he's 5'10".
Yeah.
He's short.
Yeah.
He's real short. But I feel like that's not as big of a deal as it used to be. It's still not ideal, but I think he's going to get drafted. I think he's going to get a shot.
There's more of the air quotes undersized quarterbacks in the NFL now than there are the like the old prototype 6'5", 240 pound guys.
Josh Allen,
Yeah.
specimen. But yeah, I think he's going to get a chance. I know this. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch in college football.
Yeah. He is. He's entertaining, man, for sure.
Who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
Ole Miss, home game against Kentucky, top 10 in the country. Were they number 6 in the country, Ole Miss? And Kentucky's does what they do. drag you into the deep water and see if they could suffocate you. And they did it, man. It was wild. It looked like, Kentucky controlled the game for the majority, and it looked like late they were going to let it slip, and Ole Miss took the lead. But, they're able to go down the field again, take the lead, and then comes down to a field goal, which you do not want in college football, Gabe.
Never leave it up to the kicker, Ted.
Never leave it up to the kicker. That's a big loss for Ole Miss considering the expectations.
It feels like the most disappointing loss of Kiffin's tenure there, right? Because the expectations are there. Now, it's well documented how much money they're spending on their roster, all the transfers that have come in.
Yes.
And the first team you play with a pulse comes to your house and beats you and kind of just let's be real, it just kind of looks tougher and more physical than you.
Yep.
Just kind of makes you play their style and chokes you out.
That's right. Yeah, it's
not great.
I think it's fascinating because everyone has always loved like Kiffin and his demeanor and the social media stuff, but that's always whenever he's been able to operate with no expectations. It's the beauty of the Ole Miss job, right? Hey, we got a team. You go win a couple of big games. You're super competitive, and everyone's happy. It's not like an Alabama or a Georgia. It's not that type of job until he made it that type of job by saying, we're never going to compete unless they get the money. And they got the money. And now everyone's saying, well, we better compete after we funded this thing. So curious to see what the fallout is. I saw everyone posting their TikTok videos of Kiffin on theirs. We'll see how he responds and what the fan base at Ole Miss says.
Should be an interesting trip to South Carolina on Saturday for him.
There are no gimmies. There are no gimmies.
They've got South Carolina, at LSU. And then they got to bye, and then OU comes to Oxford.
Yep.
So, yeah,
those games look totally different until you lose at home to Kentucky, and now it looks like there's you can't check mark anything down schedule.
It feels in the SEC. It now feels to me there's this top tier of Bama, Georgia, and Texas, and then a bit of a gap. Is that kind of how it feels to you? That's kind of where I'm at with the conference.
It feels like there's a gap, and it feels like everyone else, like once you get past the gap, everyone is to some degree or another the same. Well, Tennessee,
they probably deserve to be in that conversation. Right. I think their defense is really good. I think if that offensive line is healthy, I think it's a really good unit. They got to get their tackles back.
Yeah.
If they don't get those two guys back, they're going to have issues at tackle. But Tennessee, you put them in that conversation.
Yep. There's the top four.
That's twice now where I've just completely forgot to include an SEC team. And I'm trying to have these fun, cool tier talks, and I'm just screwing them up. Look at me.
There's a lot of teams to think about. But yeah, the next grouping, though, you feel like anyone can beat anybody on a given day.
Yeah. Right? It feels like those four, and then everything else is just up in the air in the Southeastern Conference.
And a lot of it has to do with injury. Like there's some like LSU's banged up. Oklahoma's been banged up all year. There's some different things going on, but the top four is clear.
No doubt. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first, we've got some nicotine pouch users that listen, which is why we'd like to introduce you to our friends at Lucy. Go to lucy.co, that's lucy.co, and use promo code BREAKDOWN at checkout for 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co and use promo code BREAKDOWN. Lucy's pouches come in a variety of strengths from 4 milligrams all the way up to 12 milligrams. Threw some fours in on the way home, Ted. Needed to calm down off the high from the win.
That's right.
The
That's
fours
right.
are all we
Chill out a little
need.
bit.
Perfect for out on the golf course as well. But I know there's some people out there. Get you some 12s, you fiends. Lucy offers a variety of flavors, including classics like wintergreen and mint, but they also have apple ice, espresso, and mango. And if pouches aren't your thing, don't worry. Lucy's got gum as well. So why Lucy instead of Zen? Lucy delivers to your house. That's why. And they sponsored this show. That's why. You can set up a subscription and get your favorites delivered every 30 days. How about that? Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown for 20% off your first order. Lucy products are for adults of legal age and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. For my win of the weekend, I'm going with UNLV, man. I feel like we've covered the other big games pretty much. We'll talk about the craziness and Virginia Tech, Miami, and my loser. But that Matthew Sluka situation was such a big story this week. I actually thought that story, it took away from the buildup for Bama, Georgia. Like it was a big deal. And there was so much going on for UNLV's football team with that situation. There was no doubt that had to be a big distraction. I'm sure it led to a team meeting or two where Barry Odom was having to talk to his group. It was pretty much the top story in college football. And they came out and they whooped Fresno State.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder,
Oh, it makes you wonder a lot of things.
You walk in and start making demands, and it sounds like UNLV was like, I think we're okay. I think we're good.
Hodge Malik Williams, pretty good.
Yeah, we're all right.
Hey, congrats, Matthew Sluka. You played yourself.
Yeah.
59-14. Rebels rolled. That run game's fun. They do some creative stuff. Another game over 250 yards rushing for them. And then all the attention was on Hodge Malik Williams, and that dude balled out.
Yep. He played really good. And Fresno State's a good football team, man. They're one of the teams that was picked to win that conference. Yeah, that's a big time performance.
It feels to me maybe like an addition by subtraction situation for UNLV.
Well, hey, look at your other redshirt situation was the University of Southern California, and while the start was slow for them, they ended up jumping all over Wisconsin.
That's true. We hope you find a home, Bear Alexander. Seems like you've been chasing one for a while, young man.
Yep.
Good luck. But Hodge Malik Williams, maybe he ends up with all the NIL money for UNLV. Ricky White, I was really impressed. He's a good wide receiver.
Yep.
I mean, I think that guy can play, but
UNLV's got a good defense.
I don't know what to believe, what's true, what's not true about the Matthew Sluka situation, but Barry Odom made it clear he was not playing that. They didn't want to deal with that situation. If the kid got something promised to him and didn't get that, that's not cool. Not cool at all. But I thought the quote where he said, "Hey, it was just business as usual after the game," that was a gangster quote from Barry Odom.
It was. We're on to Fresno State, I guess, is basically what they said during the week. And they handled business as usual. That's an impressive performance. That's a good football team. I haven't looked at the rest of their schedule, but I mean, they got a really good shot at being one of the group of 5 teams that makes it.
Very good shot. They're undefeated this late in the season for like the first time in a million years.
Yeah.
So
did a quick turnaround there.
Yeah.
They went from being one of the worst programs in all of college football for like 15 years, or it's been a long time, and they turned that sucker around fast.
Playing the Raiders Stadium is pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, congrats to UNLV. Weird week, impressive performance considering all the distractions going on for the Rebels. My loser of the weekend. We're starting to get some really good Friday nighters.
Yeah.
I mean, the Virginia Tech Hokies got to be the loser of the weekend. Just an insane ending to that football game. They won until they didn't, until the ref just said, you know what? Incomplete. Gave no explanation as to why it was incomplete. Just said, it's incomplete. The game's over and ran off the field. Miami's going crazy. Dude, what was that? That was nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I said this to you the next day. It's the first time I've ever seen both teams celebrate the win whenever the game was just automatically over. The lights are out, and Miami celebrating. You got Virginia Tech celebrating. Um,
The game ops people are hitting strobe light, strobe light, strobe light, strobe light. The guy's running down the field with the ball, and then what? 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, the refs just decide, "Hey, touchdown, Virginia Tech." He caught
yeah,
it.
which I guess the explanation I saw was that the ball wasn't in possession while a Miami guy touched it and he was out of bounds, which says the ball's dead instantly right there. Um, I don't know. If you ask me if he caught the football, I say he didn't catch the football, but it's back to this that doesn't necessarily matter. They called it a touchdown on the field. Is there enough evidence to reverse the call? And that is not nearly as clear of an answer.
In these types of situations, this is always what I ask myself. How would I react if this happened to Oklahoma? And if what happened to Virginia Tech happened to Oklahoma, I would lose my damn mind. Because you make the call on the field. If there is nothing, if there's not conclusive evidence to overturn it, then what are they supposed to do, Ted?
Go with the call.
Supposed to stand with the call on the field. And especially if you're going to rule it incomplete, you better give a damn explanation if you're that official.
That's right.
Just said it's incomplete, game over. 38-34 Hurricanes. If that happened to OU, I would be unhinged.
What if you were Miami and they went with the ruling on the field?
I I would be upset, but I watched that play and I just sat there. I don't know.
Yeah.
And in that situation, I would say, well, they're supposed to stick with the rule on the field. I'd like to think I would still be pissed. Don't get me wrong. If it was
Yeah.
OU,
It was weird. There's just not a good definitive view really of anything,
which is
at least
why I
from
was
what I saw.
really surprised they didn't stick
Yeah.
with what they ruled on the field.
Yeah.
Some other thoughts on that game. Cam Ward, I I didn't think he was that good in the first three quarters, but and he was a little careless with the football, which has been an issue with him in the past. But buddy, was he awesome in the fourth?
Yeah.
When he needed to be at his best, he was fantastic, using his legs, ripping the ball down the field accurately. Looked calm, looked like he was in complete control, and no better play than right. He avoids what, two sacks and then chest passes it to his tight end
Yeah.
for
That
the
was
explosive
impressive.
play. Like that, I thought that when they needed him to be at his best in the fourth, he was able to put 3/4 of subpar play behind him and ball out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know Virginia Tech is sick. They're sick at the end of that game. Remember that long run that they had that was called back on a horrible holding call? I mean, they're going to be frustrated for sure. But Cam
Faked the
Ward,
field goal when they were up 10
yeah,
instead of just going up by 13. That's one where Brent Pride looks at it and goes,
yeah,
was that, did that cost us the game? Did that give them momentum? I mean, those are the types of questions you ask when you lose a game like that.
no doubt, no doubt.
I I did think Miami's defense, that defensive line, a lot of people think it's one of the best in the country. They got moved off the football by Virginia Tech.
I agree.
206 rushing yards for Virginia Tech, some big explosive runs. You mentioned the one that it was like a 61 yarder that got called back.
Yeah, clean. I mean, it was clean. You called it as a flop by the defensive
Oh,
lineman. It
a
wasn't a holding
flail,
call.
a flail, like a soccer player. Ugh. But I
Did you
really
see
the only
the
other thing,
video of the ref with
the
the
follow
flag?
through,
Yeah,
the nice follow through. But I really like watching Kyron Jones play the quarterback for Virginia Tech. He's fun. I think I've said this before, but I think he's going to be an early round draft pick. He's going to be one of those guys that the draft analysts are going, have you seen this kid from Virginia Tech play?
yeah.
Big, athletic, had some awesome throws in this game. Last thing about this game, talking about Miami made me think of it. All the people affected by the hurricane, just some
Oh my gosh.
complete devastation in like North Carolina, Tennessee. We've got people that live all over the country that listen to this, thinking of all you guys, praying for you. Ted, some of
It's
those
crazy.
videos of that stuff is crazy, man.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's so much happened so quickly, and it feels like there's still people cut off from. It's wild. Yeah, it's wild. I hope everyone is okay, man. It's brutal.
We hope you guys are all safe. Love you guys. And it's going to be a long process to rebuild a lot of that stuff, it looks
Yeah,
like, but hopefully you get all the help that you need. Kind of a downer to end it on, but it just
it is.
yeah, needed to say something about that. Those videos are wild.
Yeah.